Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel. Here's kind of the first episode on the Buick GS series. So we got the thing in the shop. And so today I'll talk about the kind of the first thing we did before we even got into the shop. And then we'll talk about how we actually got into the shop, because that was an experience. So first off, first thing we did, if you recall from the last episode, we said that all of the locks and keys were different and we didn't have the ignition key. So we had to swap out the ignition. So that was the first thing we did. And when you swap out the ignition, you know, you might as well replace the steering wheel with something cool. So we got, my dad got a replica steering wheel. So to my knowledge, this is the same steering wheel. Pardon the framing as I get in here. This steering wheel is what came as a factory option on maybe the Stage 1 455, but it is a reproduction. It's made by Grant, and it is pretty slick. And the other one was pretty well cracked. So this is a nice little upgrade. On back order is the center cap with the Buick logo to make it all nice and clean. And as you can see there, we have our new ignition switch. Now, a couple things to think about while you're doing this. One, taking all this apart and everything, it called for a special tool to kind of depress, you know, a spring, to pop a snap ring, etc. And we were able to do it without it. But you really do need two people, or you need that special tool to be able to get that snap ring out. It was kind of a pain in the butt. So be advised that that could be a little tricky. But aside from that, the process went pretty smoothly, just nice and slow, taking our time to try to, you know, there's a lot of little linkages and stuff in here. You know, make sure you get it right. While we were in here, I also recommend taking this turn signal knob, the stock off, just a single screw that holds in. We took this off and took it to the wire wheel. It had a bunch of little surface rust and stuff on it, but a wire wheel cleaned that up very quickly and easily. This plastic end cap on the stock is probably going to need to be replaced. The chrome plate's kind of flaking and whatever, so we'll probably end up replacing that at some point. But for now, we were able to at least put the thing in neutral and, you know, roll it into the shop, quote unquote. So at least I'm going to show you what we did there. All right. So moving out, getting in the shop was a chore. My original plan was, hey, I've got a small come along, so we could just chain this thing and pull it in. And that's essentially what we did, but with extra steps. Because what we had to do, so first off, we tied that chain, you know, wrapped it around the bumper back in there, or the axle. So my dad rigged it. I don't know exactly how he attached it, but we attached it to the rear bumper, right? And then here's what we had to do to get this going. Chain into like a tripled up piece of nylon rope that is way too light a gauge. And then eventually tied to, that nylon rope was then tied to this chain hoist. The chain hoist was originally attached to these fall protection straps that were then D-ringed and attached to this come along that was then all strapped around the back beam here, or pillar, I guess, a post of my shop. Now, front to back, the shop's 50 feet. So pulling this thing out of the, you know, all the way back there, right? Pulling this thing out of the drive, right, is a long way. So we had to daisy chain all this stuff together. Essentially, we were able to move it with the come along to a point, right, until we got the end of the come along. Then we used the chain hoist to do that, and that's a lot of pulling on that chain hoist to basically extend it all the way out, run it all the way back. It moves real slow, but it is very easy to tow a car with that thing because you have so much mechanical advantage. If you recall previously on the channel, that is the same chain hoist that we used to lift that beam into place, right? So it got some mileage out here. Harbor Freight chain hoist, Harbor Freight come along, like the cheapest come along they have. And about once or twice of kind of re-rigging to basically, once we got in there all the way, right, then we needed to take out some tow straps and shorten our rig, right, so that we had more, you know, then lengthen the thing back out, and where we had more slack to, again, pull in, right? And all while we're doing this, we're wheel chocking as we go. That way, if something gives, then we can you know, the car doesn't roll off, you know, down the drive or something. So kind of a fun rig. Definitely kind of use what you have, right? Ideally, we would have had a longer chain or something, but we didn't. So we made use of what we had. This other thing, while we're in here, shop organization, right? So we got these shelves and benches. It's kind of cool. Basically, this is two copies of the same kit. Either configure them as shelves or as a bench. So did one of each. So we got a little workspace, some part storage, right? So we are getting set up to get going on this thing. It's exciting for sure. So next steps of what we're gonna do, and I'll show you, is now that the car's in here, our next step is gonna, you know, pull the motor basically to start rebuilding the thing. So we're gonna start pulling the front clip off, getting that all stripped down, the front fenders off, whole, you know, front grille, you know, radiator sports, all that stuff. So periodically, until we can work on this next, till my dad comes to work on this next, I will be, as I think about it and come out here, spraying every bolt I can see, all right, with penetrating oil, PB Blaster, this WD-40 stuff, whatever we got on hand, to make sure that these things come off. The impact gun will probably get a lot of use out of this, and it'll make life a lot easier busting these bolts loose. But here's the first look at the engine, so you can see, now that we've got the thing here and the hood up, it's 350, 4-belt carb, all right? So it is gonna be a fun project. So that's where we're at. That's episode 1. That is what we've done so far. You know, ignition lock and a steering wheel. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoy the series as we move along. As always, thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content or any of the content on the channel, please like, share, subscribe. That really helps out the channel and getting us, you know, better placement in the algorithm, YouTube algorithm and all that. So if you could do that, I really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.